Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Antill from Foundation Software. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Foundation Software, heavily involved in the sales efforts as well as acquisitions, trying to find good products to continue to offer to the Foundation customer base. We're really excited to do this webinar today of Vector Takeoff and Estimating. We acquired the Estimating Edge out of Florida on January 1st of this year. Longtime company in our industry, much like us, very well known for exceptional customer service. And much like us, they do a very good job working with different type of trade contractors, such as roofers and interior trades. On top of having Estimating Edge, which has been in the industry for many, many years and is a leading industry product, one of the things we were really drawn to Edge was a new product they were introducing to the market called Vector. And Vector is a brand new estimating and takeoff solution that is using some nice cutting edge technology, all web-based product. And one of the things that we've been very conscious of for a long time is, as we try to continue to offer more back office solution to our clients, is clients have constantly come to us over the last 20 years saying, hey, we've used this third-party estimating system. It doesn't link to you. The way they break jobs down is a little bit different than how the accounting side wants to see it. It'd be really nice if you guys offer an estimating as well as a takeoff solution. And what we really like about Vector within our client base for Foundation is Vector is very flexible, good new technologies, able to work across multiple trades and different type contractors. So within the Foundation client base, we believe if you're a general contractor, this is going to be a good fit for you as well. Perhaps you do concrete type work as well as maybe framing and other interior type trades. So we're really excited to show this product to you guys today. And before I hand it over to Eric and Bob from Estimating Edge and the Vector team, you know, the one thing that Foundation folks always ask us about is, hey, how is this going to integrate? How is this going to bring accounting and estimating together so we're talking the same language? So when we brought these guys on early in the year, right out of the gate with the product roadmap, we decided, you know, we got to get a tight integration between the two systems. And here in the next 30 to 40 days, out the door will be a tight API integration between Vector and Foundation. And to sum it up in Foundation accounting terminology, you'll be able to get your job broken out in a fashion similar to Foundation by job, phase code, cost class that will match up to Foundation. And through an API connection, you'll be able to pull that directly into Foundation accounting or into Foundation job costing, and therefore on the job cost reports you'll be able to see estimated costs, which originated from Vector takeoff as well as the estimating, in conjunction with the day-to-day true accounting costs, and it eliminates the step of manually putting that in to the budget within Foundation. So that's going to be very exciting to the Foundation side. And you know, as you go through and see this today, as Eric and Bob show you this, you know, if you are interested, remember this is more of a high-level overview. We're showing this to a lot of different folks today on this webinar. If you do like what you see and you want to spend more time with us, just put a little note in the sidebar in the questions or comments. Just put your name, company name, and we'll be happy to reach out to you as soon as the webinar is done to set up a more one-to-one demonstration with your company as well. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Eric from the Vector and the Edge team, and he's going to take you through and start this off and show you the software. So thank you.
All right, and thank you, Steve. Good afternoon to all who have joined the live webinar today. As Steve mentioned, my name's Eric Miller, and I'm a sales representative for Vector from Foundation Software. To ask your questions today, as Steve mentioned, you can enter them in the chat window below. We've actually muted all microphones during the presentation today, but we couldn't be more excited to be presenting Vector to you. I'll bounce through a PowerPoint presentation here quickly, and then we can get right into Vector. So as Steve mentioned, Vector has been created by the same 30-plus-year-old company called Estimating Edge, and our entire emphasis is around estimating and project management. We have a product team, support staff, and engineers who have been involved in working in the construction industry for many years, and our entire goal and purpose is to help companies like yours and simply make your life easier. Vector is a web-based 2D quantity takeoff and estimating solution. So Vector has estimating and takeoff capabilities that'll be all in one place. So there'll be no need to transfer documents, reports, or data. We don't need to send them from a takeoff product into an estimating tool. Everything's going to be easy to manage, all in one place. Being web-based, Vector is also fast and easy to access. Most people today are quite comfortable being on the internet, so there's a sense of comfortability there with our users. Also, being on the web, Vector is maintenance free. So everything's going to be done automatically for you. Product enhancements, upgrades, for example. There's going to be no downloads or any work on your side. All of your data is going to be secure and safe in the cloud. Security and safety of our customers' data and pricing is a huge, huge priority and something we take very seriously here at Foundation Software. Today, I'll be showing you how Vector uses assemblies, which are customized groupings of materials, labor costs that are used in our calculations to quickly and accurately perform takeoff. We also have some collaboration capabilities I'm going to be showing you, and these have to do with having multiple estimators inside a bid at the same time. They can be working on different bids at the same time, etc. All of our labor costs and materials, our support and training staff is ready and willing to assist you in building out that database where all that information is stored. We know that pricing and material costs, those can all change very quickly, and Vector is going to allow you to easily make those changes within your database and at the bid level itself. So with this foundation integration, we're ready to scale with your company's growth. If you're just looking for simple calculations, not using our flexible database or items of assemblies, we can do that for you. If you're really looking to graduate into sort of the big league level and dive into a professional and estimating takeoff solution, this is it. So with that being said, I can actually get into my slideshow here. And I'm going to pull up an internet browser, and we're going to get into Vector. So I'll simply pull up a browser now. Chrome is preferred, by the way, and I'll go into the designated web page. You can bookmark the Vector web page as I've done, and you can see it's just one click away. I'm going to go into my Vector tab and click into the Bid Preparation Manager. And here is where we can oversee all of our bids, and we can see some general information on each bid. Today, we're going to look at a workflow for estimating a concrete job using a foundation and a slab plan. We're going to upload that into Vector, perform some takeoff duties and tasks, and then use our pre-existing database full of assemblies and items and costs in order to estimate the bid. So let's say I have a new bid and I want to create a new bid here. You can probably see the Start New Bid button up at the top. I'll simply click that button and start a new bid. In order to create the bid, we do have some required name, description, name, who's estimating the bid that is required before we save. I'll simply hit this Create New Bid button, and then that's going to bring it into our field here. Unless we decide to delete the bid, that bid will always be available on this page. If you want to reflect back on old projects or look at previous plans or reports from past customers, you can access that here as well. So if I want to search for an old bid, like I mentioned, I can search for a bid here. It's going to pull up a list of bids, and I'll click into the hyperlink here to access that bid. I've created a bid for us to work on today, so we're going to access that. And here we're brought into the overview screen, and it's exactly how it sounds. You have some basic information on the bid, and this is all editable information. As we know, things can change. But here is where we can start building out a network full of our architects we've worked with, general contractors, previous buyers. You can see a note section here. I mentioned some collaboration functionality. This is where we can do that as well. And then we have an events tab on the right, which will deal with our uploading files and the status there. And that's what we're going to jump into next. So I'll click into my files section next. So to upload our files into Vector, it's actually really easy and super quick. And you should see some familiarity there. It's going to be very similar to, say, uploading a document to an email service or other software you may have used in the past. I'll hit this upload button, and it's going to pull up a window for accessing my computer, and I'll simply select the plan and attach it to Vector. So as long as these files are saved to our PC or we have a way we can access them through our file manager, we can upload any of those files. Now these could be large individual or large sets of PDF documents, containing 100 or 200 documents, or they could be individual sheets. Do keep in mind that upload time does depend on the amount of documents that we're going to be importing. So if we are working with a large set, we can start that upload process and then go on to maybe other tasks in our day. The Vector will actually send you an email alerting you of the upload and how it's been completed, and we're ready to start that process. We also have some options for security access. If you want to limit someone's visibility or functions that they can do inside, maybe they only need view access. And then if you did in fact upload a large set, you can select an image that maybe you don't want to work with and simply delete the file. So today, like I mentioned, I got a slab plan and a foundation plan, and then we can start moving on. So next we can move on to the build screen, and this is where we can actually start working with our takeoff quantities, and I'll touch on those assemblies that I mentioned earlier. So here in the build screen, we have 3 different sections. On the left, you see a scenario section. In the middle, you can see some of those image or pages that we're going to be working with. And then on the right is a tab for assemblies. The left of the scenario is technically our first organization level inside a bid. We could have multiple scenarios that are created, and this could be for different pricing, for parts or materials or labor. And then inside each scenario is a section. And a section could be categorized, by separating the job by trades or, once again, different phases. And this can be used, as far as using different category or different vocabulary, you can edit that up here. But if you look in the section, I have the option to start adding pages. So I can click that Add Page button. This is going to pull up a list of pages I've imported into Vector. I'll select those pages and then bring them into that scenario here. And now we can start adding our assemblies into our pages. So I'll go over here to my right and I see my listed assemblies, and I'm going to click on the phase 1 assembly that I'll be working with today. And I'm going to click this Add button. And here we are bidding out the job, and we're accessing our database full of materials and labor costs. As far as storage is concerned, maybe you have large quantities of, items or materials. Our system can support it, I promise you that. But on the left here, you can see a list of all our assemblies. We have a name, a category, a measurement type. I can use a search feature here and search for a certain category. So I know today we're working with the concrete trade. So I have some listed concrete assemblies that are pulled up. But how nice is that, being able to separate and organize the items and labor costs, based on a trade or a category. I also really like how it, presents the assemblies. It's very clean and neat and organized to look at. And obviously everyone here, you all can create your own customized categories, to help organize things how you see fit. So now I'm going to pull in the assemblies I know I'm going to be working with today. I'll be working with a 4-inch slab on grade, a 6-inch slab on grade, and I'll be working with a strip wall footing here and another column footing. So I've clicked those over, I've added those to the right, and now I can click confirm. Now I'm going to pull in those assemblies and I'm going to add it to the pages that we're working with here. So in my slab plan, I'm going to select my 2 slab on grade assemblies. Hit add. You can see those are added. And I'm going to do the same thing with my foundation plan. Select my strip wall footing and my column footing. So now we have those added and we're ready to start measuring. But let's take a little closer look and actually see what we're calculating here and give you guys a little bit of background on these assemblies. So I'll go into my slab on grade assembly here. You can see we have the name up here on top. We have a category for concrete. And then you can also see below that the type, and you can see that this is an area calculation, which will then dictate the displayed unit of measure. Now, Vector also has 2 other types of calculation, length and count, and I'll show you how those work shortly after here. But here we're indicating we're using a square footage. We also have some other options available as well. Because this is an area, we know our area is based on the takeoff, and then we have a height field, which represents depth, which then multiplies by our area to give us volume. We also have a rise over run feature for calculating slope, which I know is important to this audience. And then you have some drawing properties to customize, what sort of color patterns and lines you'd like set up on your drawing. And then if I scroll down some more, you can see these assembly line items. And these are all the items that are going to be attached and used in our calculations for assemblies. You can see we have multiple different cost types like materials, subcontract costs, labor. I can see my concrete 4,000 here and other associated costs. So this is what we're talking about when we refer to these smart assemblies, is grouping all of these material, labor costs all in one to help us quickly do our takeoff. Let's take a look at our F8 wall stripping assembly here. And then the first thing that you might notice here is this is going to be a length assembly. So we're going to be measuring the length. Now we still have the same options below, as far as line thickness. And then once again, you can scroll down and see the associated items with that length assembly. And then lastly, I'll look at our F2 column footing here. And this assembly is set to count. So we're going to be measuring eaches, pretty straightforward. So hopefully now you're visualizing some of your own material, labor costs that are grouped together, but this is really how we can help take you to that next level. All these assemblies can be customized however you see fit, and we have the capabilities to measure, practically anything you upload into Vector. So now since we've talked about assemblies, we can actually start the takeoff process. So I'm going to go into my slab page here, and I'm going to select my 4-inch slab. I'm going to make things a little bigger for us so everyone can see. And I have my slab plan here that I'm looking at. So I can zoom in on the notes here by using my mouse and using the scroll bar and sort of drag in. I can see we have a scale down here below, but let's set the scale our own way. Here you can see there's a little set scale button down on the bottom. I'm going to hit this button. And we can do it a couple different ways. We can, select the standard scale, which the architect has given us. We can do a custom scale, or we can measure our own line to verify their work, which is what I'm going to do today. So I found a nice, easy line I can measure here. I'm going to click 2 points, enter a number, 20 lineal feet, hit confirm. And you can see we're pretty spot on with that measurement here. All right, so now we can begin to take our area calculation. We're working with our assembly here. You can see it's clicked. And then now we have the option to depict what type of area calculation and line we're going to draw. When I click on the area shape, you can see I have some options of what sort of shape I'm going to draw. For this first shape, I'm going to be using a polygon line. And then another little feature that makes things really fast and easy is this ortho button down here. I'm going to select it, and that's going to make it so I can only draw clean, 45-degree angle lines. So hopefully I can demonstrate how easy that's going to be, but I'm just going to left click and start drawing my shape. And I'm going to click through as the corners go. And you can see how clean that is as I'm going through drawing. And it just makes it really easy to make sure you're doing straight lines, sharp corners. Now, these next couple of lines you see are a little bit more of an angle, and this ortho button doesn't work. All I have to do is hit the O on my keyboard, and that's going to turn off ortho. And now I can start drawing, and really fit the needs of the actual shape and continue my takeoff here. On the left, I know you can barely see it, but that information is actually updating right away. And giving our measurement as we move through the shape. Almost done here. So now I'm going to hit enter, and now we have that saved. So pretty cool. Hopefully that looked as easy as it felt, but look how clean that is. Vector easily allowed me to modify my drawing capabilities as I'm in the middle of my trace, to match the shape I'm drawing. So let's see what's next here. Number 3 indicates we have a 6-inch thickened slab. So let's find that. It's up at the top here. You can see how easy it is for me to maneuver around the screen. I'm going to select my 6-inch tab. We have ortho turned on. Look how clean of a shape this is. And we're going to use our polygon once again. And I'll just left click and start tracing. Sweet. So we got that taken care of now. So once again, you see those calculations are updating on the left, and we have our 2 area measurements. So these simple polygon shapes like I did there, you guys are going to be able to fly through those, once you get a little bit more familiar with the system. So let's move on to our other 2 assemblies I've added, and let's get into our count assembly here. So we're going to work with our F2 column footings. We're going to go to our foundation page. Once again, we have our scale. We can quick set that again, just to show you guys how really easy that is to do. Just hit the manual process. We'll measure the line. Once again, we'll enter our number, feet, and boom, we're all set. So now we're going to be counting, and we're going to work with some F2 column footings here. Let's take a look at a plan. We have a number of different footings that we're going to be working with here. Prior to the demonstration, I actually created an F2 column footing assembly for us. And to do the count, it's very similar to start the takeoff process. I'll click into that assembly, I'll hit the count fixture, and then click wherever my F2 column footing goes. And that immediately updates there. But if I scroll through here, I can see, if I kind of pan through, you can see I have an F4 here, an F4 here, an F3 here, but I only have an F2, assembly created, and these are all going to be different measurements. No problem. We can easily copy an assembly and modify some of the measurements, the length, the width, to meet the needs of the plan, and then quickly add them to the job level. So I'm going to select my F2 column footing, and let's take care of this F4 here. So 9 squared. Okay, so we're going to hit this copy here, and this is going to bring up a copy of that assembly. We're going to rename it to F4. We're going to change our height. Change our width. Change our length. And then we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now we've added that F4 column footing to our assemblies. We have a brand new assembly. And let's do the same thing with an F3 here. So we have an 8-inch square. We're going to hit copy one more time. It's going to pull up the name. We're going to do F3. 1.5 linear feet. This is going to be 8. This is going to be 8. And I'm going to hit save once again. I'm going to go into our page. I'm going to add our new column footings that I just created, this F4 and F3. Click add. Those are now added to my scenario page here. And then I'll go through and click the F4 and simply start my count there. And then we have an F3 here. So pretty neat, but as I talked through that, we easily created 2 new assemblies for takeoff. We can leverage these for future takeoff as well by clicking the sync to database button, and that way we can use them, later on. But I really want to emphasize the ease and flexibility of creating a new assembly, consisting of material costs inside of Vector while working through the job. Now, could we have done that prior to doing takeoff and have the plans and go inside our database? Sure, but over time, we're going to be building a clean database full of items and assemblies, and this should only speed up as time goes on, because you're going to have your own understanding of your database, your items, and those sort of things. All right, so let's move on to our last assembly, and that's going to be our length calculation, and that's going to be our strip wall footing here. Okay, so I'm going to select my F8 strip wall footing. You can see after I selected that, we now have a length measurement that comes up, and then we have some options for what type of line we're going to draw. For this example, I'm going to use the line segment. And just like the other assemblies, I'll just left click and start measuring. And like all the other assemblies, you can see that updating right away. And there we go. Now let's say, maybe I made a mistake and I wanted to undo that. I could simply hit this undo button and then retrace my line, but pretty easy stuff. Now for example purposes today, what if we wanted to maybe draw some different shapes? You see we have sort of a half circle shape listed down here. Let's say we wanted to measure the length of this. I click inside 2 points, and then I can start measuring this out to meet the shape. Now we can also do this with area as well, but you can see how smooth that was when you're dealing with different shapes and when I'm dealing with different scenarios, whether I'm counting, measuring length, or even volume, which I know we didn't go into, but our system really makes it easy for you to perform that takeoff. Now, obviously, we could get really deep into the weeds here and go into other unique features that'll really help you with your takeoff, and I'm happy to do that. Just be sure to reach out to us like Steve mentioned, and we can set up a more personalized demonstration down the line. All right, to keep us moving, let's get into the estimate screen. So we have the takeoff portion, the task that we wanted to completed today, that's finished, and let's hop over to the estimate screen. Now remember, I mentioned earlier, Vector has an estimate tool available in the same platform. So there's, no need to transfer documents from system to system. All of our calculations we just did are going to flow here to our estimate screen, and we're just going to finish our pricing here. So here's the estimate screen. I know this might look like a lot of information, but it's simply all of your materials, subcontract, and labor costs listed out for you. Now we're going to use our industry knowledge and project familiarity to really finish our estimate. But we can break things down a little easier for you and maybe isolate certain items, based on those categories we talked about before. So you can see now I'm looking at non-labor items. Let's jump over to the labor items. You can see all of our labor items listed here. I have a stone base install. Say I want to start entering in some values here. We'll say $50. And you can see that net cost updates right away. Let's say we want to be more exact and we know exactly, what's going to be given. I can enter in a flat number, and that's going to automatically upload those fields right away. So we can even look, let's go back to non-labor items. We can see some equipment, excavators, and you'll actually notice that some of those, items are listed in green here. And you have the option to use this checkbox next to it, and that's going to save that item pricing to your database. So that way, the next time you come into Vector or the next time you're using that item, pricing won't need to be adjusted. But you always have the ability to adjust pricing right here at the job level. So once again, that ease and flexibility through the entire takeoff and estimate process, using your industry knowledge, you're going to be able to identify which products will need to be changed and which need to be adjusted. All right, so let's take a closer look up on top for maybe one of the items here. You can see we have a cost type. There's also a field for waste percentage if we wanted to calculate that. If I scroll over, I can even see a round button if we wanted to get our material price a little bit cleaner for our estimate. We have a unit price, and then all the way over, is our net cost. And then down below, you may have even noticed a little recap section. And this gets updated as we work through, our estimate. I'll click into overhead here. And if I want to calculate overhead, I can do that here. I can do it either as a percentage, a flat amount per hour, decide what labor cost I'm going to use. And then same thing with profit. I can decide if it's going to be a percentage, a flat amount, what cost class I'm going to use. And once again, this is all how you see fit. Now, what is it that we do with all this data? And that's up to you. First, we could probably export it into our foundation system. You can use one of our 4 predefined reports. Up here at the top, I have a download reports button, and this is going to pull up a list of our 4 predefined reports, and those can be exported in either Excel or PDF. So let's look at the recap. And this is just going to be a recap of all our materials, labor costs, equipment as well. Very nice and clean and easy for you to look at. And then let's look at our detail report here. And this is going to contain all costs and items associated with any of the assemblies, if you really wanted to break things down. But, we could take these numbers and, maybe import them into a proposal template. Maybe that's a created workflow where you can send these numbers into that proposal and send out to a customer, a lot of different options right away here. So with that being said, that sort of brings us to the end of our presentation, and I'm hopeful everyone enjoyed the presentation. Hopefully everyone learned something along the way. I understand we do have a couple of questions that came through during the demonstration, so I'll get to those here now. The first one being, how will the integration with Foundation work? Steve, if you're still on the line, feel free to jump in here and interrupt me, but for me personally, I've already seen a sync to Foundation button formalized inside Vector. So it's very close, which is super exciting. I can take you into our item manager here.
Yeah, I'll jump in here and just as you may be jumping around there. So both when Estimating Edge became part of the Foundation family of products for both Estimating Edge itself as well as Vector here, we knew to really get this, to get clients excited about this and all that, having a real close tie into Foundation would be key. So for both of the products that, on the product roadmap is a full integration. And what's nice is, right, we don't know what we don't know. Over the years, the number one thing people always want to bring in from any estimating software, whether it's McCormick, a package we already own, Estimating Edge, or Vector, as you're looking at today, is always the budget. So, not to derail Eric too much, but one of the nice things that Foundation has done, and a lot of clients aren't aware of this yet because it's just really in its infancy coming out, is we now have general published APIs. And one of them is what we call Estimating CRM, where jobs and budgets can automatically go into Foundation software without doing an export or an import from any files. So we're in the process of just wrapping up getting that automatically out of Vector into Foundation right now. It's going through some QA processes just to make sure it works very well. But the goal with that whole thought is, basically in Foundation, you'll be able to say, hey, pull in through this API tool, budget for Vector job number 12. And as soon as you click that, once, the system will know it's awarded and that the budget will just auto-populate within Foundation software. And again, as I said at the beginning, you'll be able to see then the estimated cost broken down by job, phase code, cost type within the system. So it's just going to be through an API tool, and probably the biggest takeaway clients should be thinking about is No more exporting and importing in once that's fully out and you have it set up.
Right. Perfect. Thank you, Steve. And, when he was touching on those cost code and cost class, if I go into one of my items here inside Vector, you can see down below, that cost class and cost code. So that is where that API integration comes into play. So thank you, Steve. Next question is, can you create a new item in an assembly? Great question. And we touched on creating a new assembly inside the job, but you can also do the same thing with an item. So if I wanted to, say, copy this assembly, and I'm bringing in a new assembly here, I have my assembly name, which it referenced from when I copied. You can see the line items down below, and I can add existing, or I can decide to add a new line item and create my own from scratch. And happy to walk anyone through, how this would look. Like I said, contact us after we're finished, and I can show you more about this process in a more personalized demo. Okay, looks like we have two more. Is there an indication or legend for our drawings of what we measured? Well, awesome question. We do have something very similar. So if I go into my scenario here, and I click on scenario, you can see there's this download report button. I'm going to click that download report, and then it'll project this screen, which is going to indicate everything that I've drawn. It's going to show me a legend here of what I'm working with, what type, and then the same thing for my area calculations here. Great questions. And then the last one, can you copy a scenario? Yes, you can. So I'll highlight my scenario here, and then I'll hit this copy button up top, or duplicate. And when I do that, it actually informs me that I have the ability to copy all my measurements as well. So that's another unique feature that we can do for you when you're copying that scenario. We can bring in all those measurements that you just did. So that is all I have for questions. Want to say thanks everyone for joining us. Once again, we couldn't be more excited to be joining the software family of products here. I'm going to put up our email address here. This is me and my boss, Bob Ostrander. Be sure to contact us. Like I said, we can get in touch with you for a more personalized demo. But thank you so much again for your time. We look forward to hearing from you.